I'm Rosemary Patterson, Director of Perceptive Parenting Australia. Today I'd like to have a quick video about newborn examination. This is an examination that should be done soon after the birth of your baby and again before you leave hospital. And sometimes parents aren't sure what people are looking for when the newborn examination is done. So I thought I'd quickly go through it today. We've got our little model here, Franklin, today, who's 2 weeks old. He's a gorgeous little boy. So we're just going to go through all the things that we look for in newborn babies to see that everything's normal and as expected. So when we start with it, we start with their head. So we'll check the fontanelles first. So the anterior fontanelle here is the little gap in the skull sutures that allows for brain growth, and that will close by about 18 months of age. Then we go around the back and there's a little triangle fontanelle at the back of the head here. That's the posterior fontanelle, and that should be closed by around 6-8 weeks of age. So that should be something checked with the maternal and child health nurse every time that you go in to see them for their growth and development. Then we check that their eyes are open and there's no discharges, and that they're bright and active and alert, and you're going to talk to me, good boy, and that they follow. Now, newborn babies sometimes are a bit slow in following, good boy, and over here, yes, good boy, and up, can you follow, good boy, and down, good boy, and in. Sometimes they go cross-eyed, so the older they get, the more they follow more quickly. We check that their nose is okay and their nostrils are patent. We check their little ears, that they're in the right position and that there's no discharge and that there's no scabs or skin tags or anything on them, and no rashes and no marks. And little Franklin, we check for birthmarks and things quite often on the back of their neck, which we'll get to when I turn him over. There may be a little birthmark or something, we'll talk about that. We check their mouth, and we always check their palate to find if there's a cleft palate in there, which there's not. And we check their gums. I've had several babies born over the years that have had teeth on birth, and that's always a bit of a surprise. Yes, it is. It's always a bit of a surprise. But no teeth here today with Franklin, which is nice. Then we check their chin and their neck, and we actually check to see how they're lying. Now, Franklin's all ready for this. And to see how they lie. Are they lying in a natural position? And Franklin is perfectly fine. He's got his head turned to one side, but we check that he can turn it to both sides. And yes, he can. He can do that quite well. We check their neck, we check their clavicles, and their sternum, and down their tummy. We check the tummy, we check their umbilical cord, and this one's almost ready to fall off at 2 weeks. It's just separating now, and it's what we call sloughing. It sloughs off. And we check their little breasts. Now, he's got slightly swollen breasts, and this is normal for a newborn baby. It's just a little bit of swelling, and this should go in the next couple of weeks, no problem. Sometimes even all babies, boys or girls, can actually leak a little bit of milk out of their breasts as well, and that's a normal thing, and parents should be advised of that. Then we check for hernias, inguinal hernias, umbilical hernias. We check their hips for dislocation. So it goes up, and he's a very relaxed baby, and as long as we can get that hip out, and that hand is on the outside of the hip here, and we're feeling for a click when we do this, and that's fine. We check that everything's all right with the genitalia and that the testes are descended. It's very important to know whether the testes are descended. We check for the length of the legs and the feet, and that there are 5 toes, and the creases on the bottom of the feet, and that's all good. And of course we check the arms as well. So we check their length, that they're equal. We check that there's 5 fingers and the creases on the palm of the hands. So some of the things that will tell us that something is not right is sometimes there are creases that indicate that there might be genetic disorder. And one of the disorders that has the creases on the hands is Down syndrome, trisomy 21. So we always check that out, and there's always generally more than one indication that the baby does have Down syndrome. Now we turn the baby over onto their tummy and we check their back. Now you'll see that when we put them there, this is a normal position. Franklin is pretty relaxed, so he'll stretch out, and that's pretty normal. So we check the back of the neck, we check the scapulars, we check the spine to see that that's all right. We check the creases of their legs to see that they're equal. This can often be an indication of a dislocated hip if those creases are not in the same place. And the leg length again. So Franklin has passed his little test with flying colours, and now we're going to just check some of those reflexes. So some of the reflexes that we see is this is a newborn baby. Oh, he's very strong. Is showing us his neck strength and showing us that he's actually not floppy at all. So a lot of babies flop over when he's relaxed. There he goes. Very good. Good boy. And then there's a startle reflex. So when he's like this, I was talking about the startle reflex in the bathing demonstration. If we drop him back, the arms splay out and it gives them a bit of a fright, and it often upsets them. Yes, it startles you, and that's a primitive reflex, and that's very normal to have, and that's a good thing, and you have a good startle reflex, and that startle reflex, like most reflexes, will diminish over time. All right? And the other thing we check for is their stepping reflex. So when we scrape their knee, he'll actually take a step up. Their shins, he will step up. No? Yes. Are you going to step for me? Are you going to step? Going to walk? He's standing quite firmly there. I'm just supporting him and he's standing on those little legs. Let's see if he does it over the side here. You going to walk? There we go. There we go. You see, I can walk. I'm a clever boy. I can walk it too. Good boy. So it's a primitive reflex, and that also diminishes in the first couple of weeks of life. There we are. So that's generally, and we look at skin colour. We look at skin condition. So when we pinch it up, it responds and goes down. If it stays pinched up like that, it's a sign of dehydration. So very important to know. And again with the fontanelle, if you've got a sunken fontanelle, it's a sign of dehydration. So the baby might need some more fluids, and you need to check that with your health nurse. They should be doing these checks at every visit. Little Franklin needs to be dressed now, but I really would like to do a bit of a baby massage on him as well. Is that all right? So we're going to finish the demonstration there, and we'll come back to the next video, which shows a very basic baby massage, because he's really getting fractious now. All right? So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again at the baby massage video.